You can't expect to find your identity in other people and wait around for them to give you permission to be who you want to be and go after your dreams. Hello everyone, and welcome back to another Tea at TT's. If I'm being totally candid with you, these are some of my favorite videos to film with you. I don't know, there's just something about sitting down, being candid, having an open, honest conversation that feels really refreshing to me. Just based on views and what people are finding interesting, it seems like you all are finding these videos helpful, refreshing, or whatever you want to call it as well. So I'm really thankful for that. It feels like there's some synergy there. Before we begin, a couple of disclaimers. First and foremost, I lost my voice a little bit at a wedding this weekend. So if there's a twinge of vocal fry, I apologize. I do have my tea today, so hopefully that helps. I have it in my salt ceramics mug. Today we have some peppermint tea. Unfortunately, it doesn't have any inspirational tag, but hopefully the information and the knowledge that I bring to this video will more than make up for it. Second sort of disclaimer, or just announcement maybe is a better term for it. Tea at TT's used to be a podcast, and I'm recording this video and the audio on my Shure microphone to ensure that the audio quality is really good. So I thought to myself during the last couple of uploads, why don't I just go ahead and upload this to podcast app as well? You know, my broadcasting app that I use to upload to the various podcasting platforms. Because I know that some people like to consume this sort of long format content in a listening capacity, and I want to be able to make sure that I'm showing up on all of the different spaces so that whatever way you prefer to consume your media, I can meet you there. So whether you're watching this or listening to this, I hope it all comes across beautifully. If you are watching this on YouTube, I apologize. It is a gloomy day in Nashville, so the lighting isn't as bright or as crisp as I would have hoped, but I've just decided that I am a natural lighting girly, thus we are working with what we have. Today on Tea at TT's, I want to talk to you guys, really check in because we have officially passed the halfway point. We are almost done with 7 full weeks of the 75 hard challenge, which is really more like a 12-week challenge, but 75 hard is a concept that a lot of people know of. But basically, we are on day 48 of what will be 82 days, maybe, of an 82-day challenge. So we are more than halfway there. And I figured this was a really good time to check in with you all to give you a little perspective on, yes, quantifiable things like numbers. How much have I grown? Where have I seen the most growth? Those sort of things, because I know that a lot of content in the content creator tips space today is very quantifiable, and that's what people are looking for. So there will be a good chunk of that. But I also kind of want to check in with you heart to heart, spiritually, mentally, emotional, because I think that there's also a lot of value that comes in what we glean from experiences like these that aren't quantifiable. The qualitative, heartfelt stuff can arguably be more beneficial for you all sometimes. So I want to be able to make sure that I'm sharing all of that as well. Let's not waste any time today. Let's go ahead and get into it. Now, just as a refresh on what the 75 hard content creation challenge that I'm going through entails, I am for the next 12 weeks, because just the content breakdown works out better that way, committing to posting 3 times in feed on Instagram, with at least one of those posts being an Instagram reel. I am committing to Instagram stories every single day, although there are a few caveats which will be in the learned section later. But yes, stories every single day. I'm posting 5 times a week to TikTok, which I kind of expanded into 5 to 10 10 times a week, basically 1 to 2 times a day, or I should say 1 to 2 times a weekday on TikTok. I am doing 30 minutes of Pinterest daily. So this is just pinning things that I find inspirational as well as pinning affiliate links. I also habit stack with this so that while I'm pinning for 30 minutes, I'm also listening to either affirmations or some sort of informational, educational, highest self audio. You know, that's just me. I like to be efficient. I'm doing 15 minutes of cold outreach a day. So this is emailing brands, asking if they'll send me product, asking to work with them. This sometimes evolves into email management of conversations that I already have going, but essentially I'm committing 15 minutes a day to nurturing those relationships with brands. I am posting 1 time a week on YouTube, and something that just sort of manifested organically in the YouTube realm is that I'm trying to cross-pollinate my content and upload anything that I would upload to TikTok or Instagram Reels that is lower or shorter than 1 minute to YouTube Shorts. And I'll explain a little bit later why that is. And then there are also some mindset components to this 75 hard challenge. So I do 1 meditation a day. I believe that's it, aside from the affirmations while I'm pinning. I don't think I've missed anything, but if I did, I will put it on the screen so that you have the comprehensive breakdown of what this challenge entails. I know that there are quite a few of you that are modifying it a little bit based on your own content and doing similar things. So after this video, while you pause this video, leave a comment. I would love to hear how the 75 hard challenge is going for you all. I really want to emphasize that this is a community. It's not just me giving you information. I want this to be a space where we can all learn and grow with and from each other. So please don't be shy about leaving your 2 cents. We love to hear it, as long as it's not, you being a dick. Okay, so I think the next thing that people are probably here for is, okay, so you've been doing this for 6 weeks. What have you learned? And I don't know, something about 6 weeks for me, it feels like I've been doing this 75 hard challenge forever and not long at all. And when I say 6 weeks, I mean, really that's a month and a half. I don't know what I really expected. Maybe just being a 3 on the Enneagram and being a highly ambitious person in general. I just have high expectations. But yeah, 6 weeks is not a long time. And so when I kind of go through these numbers, which when I was initially writing them down felt a little discouraging, zooming out a little bit and thinking that, this has only been 18 in-feed posts and this has only been 6 YouTube videos, 30 or 36 at minimum TikTok posts. It really is kind of cool to see how everything has progressed numbers wise. So if you are a left brain numbers person, here we go. So on Instagram, I have grown my following about 1.5%. This is the equivalent of gaining 148 net followers. So when I say net followers, I've gained more followers than 148, but I've also lost followers as well. And I have some thoughts on that a little bit later. But to keep going with the numbers on Pinterest, the Pinterest analytics are a little bit different. I was checking them on my phone, so maybe there's something a little bit more extensive on the computer that I'll check. And if there is, I will leave some sort of screenshot or something on the screen so that you can see a little more in depth what I'm talking about. But I really was only able to see that my monthly views on Pinterest have grown by 46,000 monthly views. So that's pretty good. My followers have stayed pretty much the same, 6.2 thousand. Yeah, I wasn't able to see a lot more analytics past that. For TikTok, it looks like I have grown 165%, or that is the equivalent of 106 net followers. On YouTube, which is the place that I have seen the most growth, I have gained 133 subscribers. We're actually almost to 1,000 subscribers, which is a really exciting milestone for me. So if you haven't already, please be sure to hit the subscribe button. If you like this sort of content, if you like what I'm doing, would love to have you along for any and all of the journey. And then as far as partnerships go, this has been one that I have been tracking not as closely. So from here on out, I'm going to try and start to be more specific about this. But what I can see from my Shop My portal, I've received gifting from 15 brands via Shop My in those 6 weeks, plus countless others via the creator deck or brands reaching out individually. I think this is the most gifting I've ever received. And it's one of those things where it's really been encouraging and it's really made me feel like a creator. Maybe I'm not getting the monetary compensation that I am after quite yet, but the PR itself has made me feel really legit, which has been really fun. I also manifested, and yes, I'm going to wholeheartedly use the word manifested because this is something I scripted about. It's something I really sort of tried to drop from my head to my heart into feeling, into forecasting. Okay, what is this going to feel like when I get this partnership? A mattress partnership with Lisa. I'll leave it in the description box below so you can see what that all entails. But we really needed a mattress. And so I figured this was as good of time as any to try out my manifestation skills and to just see if I could do this as a small creator. And I did. So I'm very proud of myself. And then I also created user-generated content. So content that I didn't necessarily have to post on my specific channels, but that brands posted on their channels and I got paid to do this. So that was really exciting as well. So overall, like I said, when I zoom out and when I think that it's only been 6, almost 7 weeks and I've been able to accomplish these things, I'm really proud of myself. You know, I think for so many of us that want to be content creators, we really want the end results of what being a content creator can afford you. We want the money and the ability to request whatever product we want and get it sent to us, and the prestige and the confidence that comes with being able to say, I'm an influencer because I have X amount of followers, whatever number that is in your head that makes you feel important and successful. But we need to remember that the people that you're admiring that do this profession have built their careers brick by brick. They didn't just wake up one day and have 350,000, a million followers. They went through the same process of self-doubt and getting no's and feeling insecure that we are right now. So when I look back on these numbers and the ways that I've progressed in the past 6, almost 7 weeks, I can't help but feel initially a little disappointed, but when I reflect and I zoom out, really proud of myself. A, for committing to a challenge that is probably more mentally grueling than it is physically taxing. And B, yeah, just because I am growing, like I am headed in the right direction. The pace with which I am growing might not be what my mind or my expectations or society's expectations say should be the rate in which I should be growing, but those are false narratives anyways. What counts is the fact that I'm getting there brick by brick, just like all of the people who I admire have done before me. But now that I've given you sort of the cold hard facts, I want to shift and pivot into, okay, so what have I learned about the platforms themselves in case you're still looking for that hard quantifiable stuff? And I'll leave the mindset stuff towards the end for any heartfelt, higher self, spiritual people like myself who that's the juicy bits that really matter. I'll save that for the end. If we're talking about platforms, and people who also create content can chime in, but this is what I've noticed posting consistently on each of the platforms. One, if you're looking for that immediate gratification of, wow, a lot of people have seen this is getting pushed out to a lot of people, I must be doing well, even though I don't think that should be your only indication of how well you're doing, because so many times that's just one perspective. If you are looking for that instant gratification though, to give you that boost and that jolt of energy to keep going, I would say upload to YouTube Shorts. YouTube Shorts to me feels like where TikTok was a couple of years ago and Instagram Reels was like a year ago. These platforms want to push video content, and so they're going to push your videos out to more eyeballs. And that's just advantageous for you as a content creator. You're putting this work into your content. You obviously want it to be seen. And the place that I have been able to see the most potential for virality, potential for eyeballs has without a doubt been YouTube Shorts. The cool thing about YouTube Shorts is that you're able to add a related video. So even if the videos aren't related to your content, you can link it back to a video on your channel. And I've just seen so much growth via YouTube because of Shorts and because of this feature. So I'm going to ride that for as long as I possibly can. Now, that being said, I have noticed a little bit of pivot with both TikTok and Instagram. I think Instagram Reels were really hot for a while, but I do feel like they may have cooled off a little bit. I don't think that they're pushing it out as much as they used to. Definitely the same for TikTok. But that being said, I think with Instagram and TikTok and really all of the content that you're creating in general, your strategy should be the long game. I might get a couple hundred views on a TikTok initially. We've all heard of the 200 view jail. Everybody despises it. Everybody's trying to get out of it. I'm finding that TikTok more and more is turning into a search engine platform similar to how Pinterest is. And so I find that my videos are getting lots of views retroactively for people who might just be searching for those buzzwords or those keywords or the information with which I've talked about in my TikTok after the fact. I don't take any initial views or impressions on TikTok especially very seriously because I know that the views will climb eventually, and I have found this to be true. Instagram less so. I feel like Instagram is probably a little bit better than TikTok as far as pushing your content out immediately, but like I said, have seen it cool off a little bit. Take that information with a grain of salt, use it how you will. This is just my general observations from posting consistently, and you guys all know the platform and the structure with which I'm posting. People who post more often than that may see different results. This is just my experience. That being said, on the note of Instagram, something else I've noticed is that views and likes are going to be sporadic for everyone. I thought it was just me that it meant something that one of my posts get 500, 600, 400 likes and another one gets 100 likes or would be lucky to break 100 likes. And I tried to figure out, okay, what types of content do people want? What are the best times to post all this stuff? And I think I've just come to the resolution that people's Instagram likes are going to vary from post to post. And that's just a general statement for everyone. I wouldn't get too discouraged if something you worked really hard on only gets, minimal likes, because I just think that's the nature of Instagram right now. It's so confusing algorithmically that you just have to continue publishing what you find is right and true and aligned for your personal brand, because I really do find Instagram is that space with the most aesthetic real estate for declaring who you are to the world through visuals, through aesthetics, through how you're presenting online. I mean, that's true for all of the platforms, but we all know that for Instagram, it's just a little bit more weighty, the aesthetics, than the other platforms. At least that's how I feel. So those are some things that I've noticed as far as the platforms themselves and posting. If you have anything else to add to that conversation, please, like I said, leave a comment, but I want to leave plenty of space and time for the mental component, because that is by far the place that I have noticed the most growth and change. And yeah, I'm just excited to talk about it. Okay, so first and foremost, the thing that I've noticed, and I continue telling this to people when they ask me about what I'm excited about or what I'm learning, is that the more that you see yourself as a content creator, the more that other people will see you as a creator. And I know I've said this in previous videos. It's adjacent to the idea that we declare and we show people how we deserve to be treated. You can't expect to find your identity in other people and wait around for them to give you permission to be who you want to be and go after your dreams. I was doing it that way for so long. I thought that if I could just get really nuanced and really good at learning the rules and being what other people expected from a content creator, then that would automatically put me in the ranks of being a content creator, right? It's a very people-pleasing, backwards reality, but that's also the nature of, my childhood and a lot of different factors that go into that. But what I've learned and what's been so key for me is that the channel of energy starts internally and it goes outward. So the more that I see myself as a content creator, the more that I declare to the world, these are my rates, this is what you can expect of me, this is the type of content I create, the more people are trained in what they can expect from me. I've just found that when I have that confidence, it's really really sort of cliche, right? People are always saying like confidence is so attractive, but it goes deeper than that. It's more subversive than that. The energetics are more nuanced and at play if you really take the opportunity to notice. The more that I can channel that internal light, that internal energy of a content creator and believe in myself, the more that I see that reflected to me in the outside world through partnerships, through the yeses that I get for PR and gifting, through other people coming up to me saying, I love your content. That's not because I did anything specifically. It's because I first see myself that way and am in position to receive that information, receive that affirmation, and really like take it at face value. That has been game changer for me. And I find that the more that I can strengthen that muscle, the further that I go, the more progress that I see. And so it's really important to remember that sort of channel of energy. Another thing for me that I've realized is super key is the meditation. You know, again, I am a 3 on the Enneagram, achiever to the max. I set a goal and I am relentless at seeing it succeed. So the meditations for me really started as sort of another thing to tick off the tick list because it's like kind of cliche. Oh yeah, if I can do a meditation and I can get my mindset right, then I don't know, maybe I think subconsciously I thought that that was the right thing to do so I would see more progress. But I found that the meditations are key, not because they're the right thing to do, but because they really allow me that space to get quiet, to quiet the noise of the outside world, to quiet the noise of my own thoughts. I tend to be such an overthinker, such a mental nutcase that when I meditate, I can drop from making decisions with my head to how things feel physically in my body. And that I have found more than anything is my most sound decision-making space. I think there is a lot of validity to manifestation, but not in the sort of woo-woo witchy ways. And I hate the word woo-woo because it is so magical, but in sort of the like cliche, buzzy ways that people suggest. I think there are deeper energetics and psychology at play. I really do believe that when you can feel like the content creator you want to be, when you can feel like the person that has the followers that you want, the money that you want, you make decisions more in alignment with that version of you. For the longest time, people would say, there is a version of you that already has the things that you want. And it felt so like sci-fi to me. I couldn't quite grasp as somebody who likes to rationalize and somebody who thinks with her mind. It wasn't until the other day that it just clicked for me. We want the things we want because there is a version of us that already has these things. How would we even know to want for them if there wasn't the potential, if we didn't already know what it potentially felt like to have those things? So it's so important to get out of your head, stop making decisions with fear. What happens if I don't post? What happens if I'm not posting the things that are most trendy or viral or buzzworthy? And we drop into our hearts and say, how am I feeling? How do I feel when I am my highest, best self? And that's when we can actually create content, create meaningful impact on the world, allow our light to shine. So the meditation portion, the 15 to 30 minutes that I carve out for myself a day to drop into that space of my highest self, to quiet the noise of the outside world, has been absolutely imperative. And I love it. For this, I use Tony Robbins' priming exercise. It's like 15 minutes. You can find it on YouTube for free. I'll leave the link in the description. But I also really love, and if you know me, you know this comes as no surprise, the Joe Dispenza meditations. I've recently downloaded one of his walking meditations because I've been trying to get in my steps as well. And it is so powerful for shifting you into that heart-centered space, for allowing you to feel those emotions of what your highest self feels like. So those would be the two resources that I would recommend, but the meditations have been key. On the note of, well, I guess I wasn't really talking about this, but I've mentioned it in the past. I've just learned that losing followers is part of the game. Like, I think I would get so butthurt before when people stopped following me. It's been maybe a decade since I've had the app where you can see who's unfollowed you. For my mental health, I've since relinquished that app from my phone. I think I've just learned every day, when I post and I see followers go down, that's just part of the game. There was a day that I posted that I had 9,777 Instagram followers, and then literally within a minute I had 9,776. And I was like, first of all, don't be a dick. Second of all, I was kind of just like, this is part of it. You are going to, when you step into your true alignment, your most authentic self, you declare to the world, this is how you treat me. I'm going after my dreams. And if you don't like it, you can leave. There are going to be people that get triggered by that and leave. What I'll say about that is that you are far better off creating space for more people who see your vision, who see your authenticity and want to be bought in for the entire journey than you are ever trying to make that 1, 10, 200, 2,000 people happy. That's just not your job. It goes back to trying to find your identity in everyone else. Your job is to follow your dreams and be the most authentic version of yourself that you can be, to create content that feels aligned with the feelings of your heart, with the feelings of your highest self. And newsflash, I hate to be the one to break it to you, but that is going to trigger people and it's going to ruffle a lot of people's feathers. Might as well just get used to it. My friend Anna Grace, who's a very successful content creator, just beautiful human in general, would always tell me, haters equal more money. Those people who are leaving and who want to talk shit, who don't like what you're doing, they're just creating more space for the more genuine, authentic, aligned people who support you, support what you're doing to come in. So you're better off without them. I do think that it's true what they say, that sometimes the most unexpected pieces of content are the ones that pop off. I remember it was a Friday and I did not want to, I just didn't have any creativity. I had like no juice left in the tank, but I had to post something. And so I filmed a quick little outfit post. I was literally wearing a white t-shirt and jeans. It was the most basic, boring outfit ever. I spliced it together really quickly. I hated the way I looked. I hated the edit, but I said, this is 75 hard. We're committing to showing up to ourselves, even when mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally, we don't feel like it. And I posted it. And I'm not saying it went viral or anything, but it did way better than I thought. And honestly, better than a lot of my videos that I put all of this thought and attention and time and energy into. It goes back again to the identity thing. We really have no control over how people perceive us. I know that there's this deep fear of being perceived, but the one thing that we do have dominion over, that we do have control over, is how we show up for ourselves. I knew that yes, posting this video was going to stir a lot of uncomfortable emotions with me. I wasn't liking the way my stomach looked. It didn't feel like the best possible content, but I knew it was more important to show up for myself and to do this thing that I had committed to than to deal with 5 minutes of momentary discomfort because I didn't like how it turned out and then just move on, Lo and behold, it did way better than I thought it would. So if you're feeling discouraged, if you're just feeling like everything needs to be perfect, just remember, we don't have control over how people perceive us. It could be any little piece of thing that pops off. You just have to keep showing up for yourself. On that note, I really think sharing and creating content that feels the truest and most aligned to you, that feels like the content that you want to create, not the content you think you should create or the content that you think is going to get the most likes, will always A, make you the most proud, and B, allow you to see clearly the bigger picture, the bigger vision of what it is that you are trying to create. Be true to yourself. That's really it. I know it can be so tough when creating content that has the potential to go viral is so tantalizing, and you might be sitting there thinking, who are you? You've only grown 100 followers in 6 weeks. But I guarantee that at the end of the day, you're going to be most proud of the content that feels genuine to your heart and what it is you long to create. A couple last minute mental components that I've learned in this 75 hard challenge, and then I will leave you with your thoughts and everything that's going on internally. Content creation isn't the hardest part. I've actually found and that creating the quantity of videos and pieces of content. Oh, I almost forgot. My newsletter is another piece of content, one newsletter a week that I have committed to, and I will put the numbers of growth on the screen somewhere here. Creating the content isn't actually the hardest part. Yeah, sometimes you don't want to do it. You have to sit down on a Sunday and record when you want to be laying around watching TV. I actually find that like editing the videos and doing all that stuff is generally pretty easy. The hardest part of this journey is the mental, emotional, spiritual management of the mind. It's the emotional management of posting something that you don't think is worthy of being seen. It's the emotional management of only getting 100 likes on a specific post that you spent a lot of precious time and energy on. It's the emotional management of seeing other people grow at a quicker rate than you. It's the emotional management of feeling stupid when you put yourself out there in this vulnerable space. That is the hardest part. And I think that's part of the reason why the meditation and therapy, checking back in with your why and your vision is so important. It can be so easy to be swayed by the glamour of this industry. It can be so easy to be swayed by what might have the potential to go viral. I wholeheartedly believe that when you stay true to yourself, your highest vision for what this could be is when you end up in the right places, even when making that decision is the hard decision. And so often it's the hardest one. It's not easy. I will leave you with this. Don't be discouraged at the rate in which you're growing. You know, I think about this all the time, about people's like pop-off moments. Chapel Roan, I think is how you pronounce her name. I feel like I'm dating myself at this point, but she's having a moment right now. Sabrina Carpenter having a moment, but it's not like these women woke up and were like, I'm going to be an artist today, and they suddenly were successful. No, they were brick by brick girls too. And they have teams and all of this stuff, but true artists continue to create art, regardless of who is watching, regardless of how big it is. And we have, again, no control over what that thing will be that pops off, what that hit song will be, or the book that becomes the New York Times bestseller, if that will ever even happen. The only thing, again, that we have control over is how genuine and true to ourselves we're staying. We are our own friends in this situation, so we have to treat our dreams with the utmost tenderness, respect, and importance. So next time you want to look at the quantitative results and get discouraged or beat yourself up, just please take my word of advice and don't. You have so much more going, so much more is at work and at play here than the numbers. You are growing as a human being, you're healing, you're literally creating magic by saying, I'm taking my thoughts, emotions, beliefs, feelings, I'm choosing to act on the ones that draw me closer to my highest version of self. That is literally real life alchemy. That is the definition of healing. It's not some mystical thing. I mean, it is very magical and very mystical, but like if you're a practical girl, you are literally taking nothing and creating something from it. So release the expectations about what it needs to be and be so fucking, I don't mean to cuss, but proud of yourself that you have the courage to do that in the first place. That's what I've learned in the last 6 or 7 weeks. And don't get me wrong, it hasn't been without so many challenges and so many nights crying because I feel like a loser. But what I've gained from it is so much more valuable. And I can finally see how, sure, I might not be to the places that I want to be yet, but I have so much faith that I'll get there. And I can finally see how people do the things they do that we admire so much. It's because they have faith in themselves, they don't give up, and they continue to push forward. So I'm in your corner. I'm cheering for you always. If you have any questions about 75 Hard for Content Creators, about what I've learned, drop them in the comments. You know, I try and be really good about answering comments. Let me know what you want to see on future Tea at TT's episodes. You know, the last Tea at TT's where I talked about pitching to brands came from one of you, a request. So I would love to hear what's interesting to y'all, what you want to talk about next. But until next time, we'll see you soon. Keep creating, keep going.